The Great Lakes of North America have a $7 billion fishing industry and a $16 billion recreational boating industry. This here is the choke point, the Chicago Sanitary and Ship Canal. The fish would have to come through here, which is why this water is electrified.
Something really strange is happening in our backyard, and the footage coming out of our rivers is leaving experts totally stumped. We are seeing thousands of massive fish literally flying out of the water and attacking boats in a way that feels like a coordinated strike. This is a key detail because these are not just your average fish. These are invasive monsters that have taken over the Mississippi and are heading for the Great Lakes. The crazy part is that they might already be in places they are not supposed to be. Massive shadows taking over the Mississippi. For starters, we have to look back at how this nightmare began. Around 60 years ago, some people thought it would be a great idea to bring these fish over from Asia. They wanted them to clean up ponds and eat algae. It seemed like a smart plan at the time. But then everything changed when the floods came in the 1970s and 1980s. The water rose so high that it washed these fish right out of their pens and into the open rivers. Once they hit the Mississippi, there was no stopping them. These fish are like biological machines. They grow incredibly fast and can reach weights of over 100 pounds. That is like having a large dog made of pure muscle swimming around in the water. They can grow several feet long in just a few years. One of the most overlooked aspects of this story is how many different kinds there are. You have the silver carp, the bighead carp, the grass carp, and the black carp. Each one has a different job in destroying the environment. The silver ones are the ones everyone sees in the videos. They are the ones that jump into the air and break people's noses. Little did they know that these fish would find the American rivers to be a perfect paradise. There are no natural predators here to eat them. In their home in Asia, they have to deal with other big fish and different diseases. Here, they are at the top of the food chain. They just eat and make babies all day long. A single female can lay millions of eggs in just one season. That is a massive number that is hard to even wrap your head around. It means that even if we take out thousands of them, there are millions more waiting to take their place. People are seeing them in huge groups that look like solid walls under the water. In some parts of the Illinois River, these fish make up 95% of all the living things in the water. That is almost everything. It means if you throw a net in, you are almost guaranteed to only catch these invaders. It is not that simple though, because they are moving north. They are pushing closer and closer to the Great Lakes every single year. This is where the story takes a hard left, because the Great Lakes are a huge deal for the economy. We are talking about $7 billion worth of fishing and tourism. If these carp get in there, they could ruin all of it. People are worried that the footage we are seeing now is just a tiny preview of what is coming. Silent eaters destroying the food chain. But wait, there's more to this than just fish jumping in the air. The real damage is happening where we cannot see it. These carp are filter feeders. This is a key detail because it means they swim with their mouths wide open and suck in everything. They eat plankton and algae, which is the very base of the food web. Basically, they are stealing the food from the mouths of our native fish. Think about the baby bass and the crappie that people love to catch. Those little fish need that plankton to grow up big and strong. But when the carp arrive, there is nothing left for anyone else. It is like a giant vacuum cleaner going through the water. Many are not seeing the truth here because they only focus on the jumping. But the hunger of these fish is the real threat. They can eat 20% of their own body weight every single day. If a fish weighs 50 pounds, that is 10 pounds of food disappearing daily. And that's putting it lightly when you realize there are thousands of them in one small area. Just when you thought it was over, we have to talk about the grass carp. They do not eat plankton. They eat the actual plants at the bottom of the river. They turn beautiful underwater forests into muddy deserts. This destroys the places where native fish lay their eggs. Without those plants, the water gets dirty and the soil washes away. It turns a healthy river into a dead zone. A lot of people are confused about why we cannot just feed these fish to people. It turns out that carp are very bony and hard to clean. Most Americans do not want to eat them. Even though they taste okay, the market just is not there yet. So, the carp just keep eating and growing without anyone standing in their way. The unthinkable happened when scientists realized that these fish are actually starving out the native species so fast that some populations are crashing. We are seeing fewer and fewer of the fish that belong here. It is a total takeover that is happening right under our noses. Everyone's obsessed with the videos of them jumping, but the quiet destruction of the food chain is what keeps biologists up at night. Last stand at the Chicago Canal. So, here's the deal with how we are trying to stop them. The biggest battle is happening near Chicago. There is a man-made canal that connects the Mississippi River system to Lake Michigan. This is the front line of the war. To stop the carp from swimming through, the government built massive electric barriers. These are big metal cables under the water that send out a strong shock. The idea is that the fish will feel the sting and turn around. But there is a massive caveat. Tiny fish can sometimes swim through the electric field without getting hurt. Also, when big barges go through the canal, they can pull fish along in the water behind them. It is a huge risk that has everyone on edge. Engineers are looking at a place called Brandon Road Lock and Dam. They want to build a high-tech fortress there. We are talking about underwater speakers that play loud noises, bubble curtains that scare the fish, and even more electric fences. But this project costs nearly $1 billion. That is a lot of money, and it takes a long time to build. Fast forward to the part where people are getting impatient. Some folks think we should just close the canal entirely, but that would stop all the ships that carry fuel and supplies to the city. It is a massive mess of politics and science. While the humans are arguing, the fish are still swimming. They have found evidence of carp DNA in the water on the wrong side of the fence. This is where the plot took a major turn. When they find that DNA, they have to shut everything down and go looking for the fish. Most of the time, they do not find a living carp, but the fear is always there. Looking back, that was the red flag we should have paid attention to years ago. We are spending millions of dollars just to keep them at bay, but we are not winning. We are just trying not to lose too fast. Hidden reasons for the river crisis. The current situation with invasive carp in our rivers is much worse than most people realize, and it feels like we are losing the battle for a reason. While leaders focus on building huge walls and electric fences, something strange is happening underwater that scientists are just starting to understand. It is as if the fish are playing a game of chess against us, and they are several moves ahead. Many people believe the carp are failing to be stopped because they are actually changing their own bodies and behavior to survive our traps. This is more than just a few fish swimming into a new area. It is a full-scale takeover by a species that seems to be getting smarter every single day. One of the biggest reasons these fish are winning is the rise of the hybrid carp. Usually, different types of fish stay separate, but the silver carp and bighead carp are breeding together to create a new kind of superfish. These hybrids are like the ultimate survivors because they take the best traits from both parents. They grow as large as the bighead carp but have the high-speed energy of the silver carp. They can live in almost any kind of water, whether it is cold, warm, or even full of salt. Some experts think these hybrids are the reason our current barriers are not working. There is a wild theory that these superfish have already developed a way to survive the electric shocks we use to keep them out of the Great Lakes. This leads to an even scarier idea that some people are starting to whisper about. There are rumors that the government might know the fish have already crossed the final lines of defense, but is not telling the public yet. If the carp have already made it into the Great Lakes, it would mean billions of dollars in damage to the environment and the fishing industry. Some believe that researchers are finding carp eggs in places they shouldn't be, and the news is being kept quiet to avoid a massive panic. If the fish are already there, then all the expensive construction projects we see on the news are just for show. Another theory that sounds like science fiction is the idea of genetic memory. Usually, animals have to learn things over many years, but these carp seem to be learning how to avoid our nets almost instantly. Some researchers wonder if the fish that survive our traps are somehow passing that knowledge down to their babies through their DNA. This would explain why a method that worked great 5 years ago is completely useless today. The fish are not just reacting to us, they are evolving to beat us in real time. They have become experts at sensing the vibrations of boats and the hum of electric fences, allowing them to turn around before they get caught. The way these fish jump out of the water is also being looked at in a new way. Most people think they are just scared by the sound of boat engines, but some people believe it is a form of communication or even a weapon. By jumping in huge groups, the carp create a chaotic environment that makes it impossible for people to work on the water. There is a theory that the carp use the sound of the engines like a type of sonar. When they jump, they might be sensing how the water moves around the boat and using that information to map out the river. Instead of being a sign of fear, the jumping could be a strategic move to confuse anything they think is a predator. We also have to look at how these fish survive in places where everything else dies. Our rivers are often polluted and have very little oxygen, which usually eliminates native fish like bass or trout. However, the carp seem to love this dirty water. A bold theory suggests that the carp are actually terraforming the rivers. By eating all the tiny plants and stirring up the mud on the bottom, they make the water even dirtier. This eliminates the local fish and makes the river a perfect home only for carp. They are essentially rewriting the rules of the ecosystem so that they are the only ones left standing. The way they talk to each other is another mystery. Some scientists think the carp release special chemicals into the water that act like a secret internet. When one fish finds a way around a dam, it might release a scent that tells every other carp in the area exactly where to go. This would explain why thousands of fish can suddenly disappear from one part of the river and show up in another overnight. They are working as a giant connected team rather than just individual animals. Is it possible that we have already lost the war for our rivers, or can we still save the Great Lakes from this invasion? Let me know what you think below. Please like and subscribe.